Welcome to Fire Engineering Radio and to our show, Pride and Ownership, The Love for the Job. I'm your host, Chief Rick Lasky. First off, I want to thank everybody that's been helping us with, as we refer to it now, Operation T-Shirt. I got about 4 emails this morning from folks that are sending us T-shirts and sending them down to Florida, to Eileen Brennan Kress, but Tom Brennan's daughter, Eileen. We talked a little while back about trying to get some extra large T-shirts for her and her family. It was one of those things that Dad, that Chief Tom Brennan, our brother, and what a man, what a great leader. What he used to do for her when coming home, would throw a T-shirt at her once in a while, and she said one of the things she misses about Dad being gone, as goofy as it could sound to some people, she said, she goes, are the T-shirts. And now everybody's been stepping up and helping and sending them, and it's kind of like Dad's still there with the T-shirt thing. So it's been great. Actually, I was down teaching in St. Augustine, actually for the St. John's County Fire Rescue. What a growing department! What an incredible group of people. We had a ball. We were there. We did a couple of days of Pride and Ownership. I think we're going to go back and do some leadership stuff. But great folks. And while I was there, I was able to have dinner at their home with Eileen and her husband Brian, the kids. And what a great group of people. What a relaxing night. And we got into the topic of all the T-shirts, and it's been great. She's been loving it. So thank you very much for everybody that's been helping her out. Another thing we're going to be doing here in the future, is we're going to get into a little bit more. We're going to talk a little more about, the roles and responsibilities, maybe a step further than where Chief Tom Freeman took us with company officers and chiefs. We've had a ton of requests to get Tom back on the show. I'm telling you, just a ton of emails and phone calls, and man, you guys got to get that going again, and we're going to do that with our brother Tom. But we're going to talk about some of the roles and responsibilities, especially when we talk about like the engine officer, the roles and responsibilities that he or she may have. One day we're going to do one on roll calls and the importance of that, and just some of those different things. The truck officer, the paramedic chief, some of the different responsibilities out there. I know we're going to have some chiefs. Aides, some, as we call them here, field incident technicians or command techs, whatever you call them. We're going to have them on the show talking about their importance, the role they play. And again, that's probably the most incredible thing we've done in this fire department is add the field incident technician position to the battalion chief's position. It's just operationally, administratively, unbelievable the impact that it's had on our department. And then I've talked to my boss. I actually want to bring on my boss, my city manager, on here, especially right now with a lot of departments that are feeling a pinch at budget time and with tax reforms and everything. He's a brilliant man. I'm not saying it just because he's my boss. He is big time supporter of public safety and our police, the whole city. He's got a tough job, but I'll say selfishly, very big supporter of the fire department. And I'd like him to come on because we want to talk about those things. What does city manager look for? And at the same time, how they deal with the budgets and all the, whether sales tax is up or down, and a lot of things that our firefighters don't understand or may not be aware of that maybe will help them understand it, that there's a whole other side of things. I know the fire chiefs out there know this. But that's really it with things we're going to be doing. Coming up, we've got a whole long list. We've got years' worth of topics that we've sat down with Peter and the group and we've talked about doing. I just had another incredible weekend. I went to the Women's College World Series of Softball in Oklahoma City with my daughter. It's our 5th year, our daddy-daughter trip, and if your daughter plays softball, if you can make it there, that place is magical, man. You will just absolutely love going there. It's magical. Last show we had Jimmy Byers on. Jimmy's the Honor Guard commander for the Louisville Fire Department's Honor Guard, and we talked about the symposium we just hosted here, the inaugural Pipes, Drums, and Honor Guard Symposium, and Jimmy was able to emphasize very, very nicely the importance of Honor Guards for a fire department and for the community, and what it took to get that unit going. And I know there's so many out there. In fact, we could probably have 1,000 different Honor Guard commanders on talking about their units because, again, it's those are our Blue Angels, and those are those people that just make us look great. We're so proud of them. Excuse me. But to have Jimmy on here was great to talk about his unit and how he got it going. We've already got some great feedback from people saying, they've been thinking about trying to get a unit going and they weren't sure how to. And, everything from some of the labor laws we looked at to funding to some of the support from the fire chiefs out there and city folks, the administration. And Jimmy did a great job. And we thought we would follow that up with getting one of our pipers, actually our pipe major, Damion Roberts. He's an engineer with the Louisville Fire Department, and get Damion on here to talk about that end of things with the pipes and drums units, which I am so proud, and we're going to talk about this, that Texas is becoming one of the leaders when it comes to pipes and drums units, or pipes and drums bands. They're taking off like wildfire here, no pun intended, but big things are happening, great things are happening. So we wanted to get Damion on the show and pick his brain a little bit and have him talk about what it takes and how you can get it going and the work that he and his crew have put into it. So I want to welcome Damion. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good, Chief. Thanks for having me.
Buddy, I'm glad you're here, pal. First off, I can't begin to demonstrate properly the appreciation we have for you, pal, when it comes to everything you do, Damion, when it comes to the pipes and drums and that unit. I mean, and I have to tell people before I get you going, the first time that our unit played, they had been practicing and everything for a year, was at one of our annual awards banquets. And I'm standing up there. They had asked me to do my talk on family. Excuse me, I got a little frog in my throat. That's from yelling at all the softball games this weekend. But I'm standing up there doing my talk, and I probably one of the most difficult times they had concentrating on the topic, because I looked out to that curtain, and I knew they were out there. I knew they were waiting to come out. I knew they were waiting to excuse me, to play for the first time. And I was getting so excited about it. And I finally got to a point, I almost forgot to do my ending. I looked out, and Jim Byers was standing there, our commander. I said, "Are they ready, Brother Jimmy?" And the very first thing was that, we heard a single piper, and he came out from behind the curtain. That was Don Shannon, their instructor. And everybody had been asking leading up to this, "Are they going to be ready, Chief? Are they going to be ready?" I heard they're ready, and I said, "No." They said, "Oh, come on, we maybe there's a surprise." And when they saw the guys show up in their Class A's rather than kilts, they said, "Oh, okay, maybe they aren't ready." And then when they heard Don play, they got all excited, and they saw Don come out. As much as we love him, they went, "Oh, man, it's not them." And he walked all the way down to the stage. He gave me a wink, turned around, went back, and when he got back, they blew the curtain open, and there were our guys, three of our pipers, and everybody went nuts, first off. Then when they actually started playing, the place went crazy. It was like the Beatles when they came to America. I mean, guys were on their chairs, standing on their chairs in the class, whistling and crying, it was just it was probably one of the best moments I've ever had in my career, Damion. And how did you feel that night, buddy? First time you played, especially in front of your own department.
Oh, I can't even describe the feelings that we had that night. I mean, that's an evening I will never ever forget. We had put the better part of a year of practice and lessons and just going over. We played two real simple songs that night, and I can't even count the number of times that we practiced those songs over and over and over and over again just to get it right. But the response that we got from everybody on the department and their spouses and their kids, everybody that was there, just it was overwhelming. I mean, like I said, it's hard to even describe. It made all that time and effort that we had put into it well worth it.
Well, and I'm telling you, to stand up there, and I'm glad everybody was facing the other way, because I was bawling I was sobbing. I was bawling like a baby. It gave me chills, buddy. And it is, and often, and my wife's like this, Jamie. She'll say, and that she lost her first husband in the line of duty, and she married another firefighter, so she puts up with me, and she's my bud. But she's always said, whenever she hears the pipes and drums, first thing she thinks of is funerals and how, the music. A lot of people, oh boy, it gives me chills. And I used to think of it that way till I really got around. And actually, Don Shannon helped me with this, and you're gonna talk a little bit about Don later. But the music is beautiful, and it's not just Amazing Grace, which is a wonderful song, a beautiful song. I don't know. There's just something about it that's just, if you listen to it, if you know what the songs are about, it's great, and we're just so excited. But that was just, God, that was incredible, buddy. And your partners, who were the first pipers in Louisville with you?
Well, it was myself, and then driver engineer Gary Apple, and then firefighter Todd Carruthers. It was us three. We were the original three pipers, and Oh man, we put a lot of time and effort and a lot of work and a lot of lessons with Don, just to get up to a certain point. And I will have to say that those guys bent over backwards and just ran through themselves, just working hard and just making sure that we were going to be one of the best pipe bands that we could possibly be. So
well, and Damion, you had a musical background somewhat, right? I mean you had. But talk to us about Gary. I mean, Todd too, but Gary, how many instruments did he play before playing the bagpipes?
Yeah, this was actually Gary's first musical instrument to ever learn. So, I mean, he not only did he start late in life, but he picked probably one of the hardest instruments to try to learn how to play, just because the pipes are just so temperamental, and there's so many things you have to fine tune, and there's just so many subtle nuances that go along with playing the pipes. And like I said, he picked the hardest thing that he possibly could have learned how to play as his first instrument. But he's done really well. I've been really proud of him.
Well, and what's funny is I was one of those naive folks, I guess, earlier in my career, that I thought when you blew into that thing, it was like a clarinet. You blew in and the notes came out with your fingers, playing the right notes. But to sit there and have to keep the bag full while you're squeezing different levels of, squeezing it. There's so much, and to see you guys do this, and if you're a piper or a drummer out there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. My hat's off to all you guys that do that stuff. Now, I know Don Shannon, our instructor, gave Gary a nickname, and we're going to embarrass him right here. I love Gary to death, but what's his nickname again? What do you call him?
He calls him Wee Man.
Wee Man.
Wee Man.
Now, because I guess Gary's arms are a little bit shorter than some other folks, so he had a hard time at first reaching out and playing. But you know what? And that's Don. Don does that to make you to feel at ease. And now he calls him what? The wee little man, because Gary, he wasn't a big guy to begin with. He was normal. I mean, good shape and everything else, but he actually lost some weight, and so he calls him the wee little man. But I mean, Gary and Todd and like I said, you, Damion. It's just incredible. Now, let's talk first off. You mentioned the three guys. I actually mentioned three guys, including yourself, that started this off. Who were your drummers when you first started this?
Our drummers were Division Chief Scott Thompson, our Division Chief Terry McGrath, and the driver engineer Chris Lawler. Those were our three snare drummers, and then Conrado Turtle Martinez was our bass drummer.
Conrado Martinez, and it's kind of funny. My wife always wanted to get him a periscope to put on the drum, because all you see is those legs and his arms, because he's a little bit shorter. But he's another guy. I mean, all of them that have stepped up and done some incredible things. I mean, if you want to see, go to YouTube, type in Louisville Pipes and Drums. When you see some of the things that they've done, I mean, some of the different venues, and it's pretty cool. One thing I did want to talk about before we go any further, and it just popped in my mind, is Officer Wes Hardy, Plano motorcycle officer from Plano, Texas, had been killed in the line of duty. And when you remember this one, Damion?
Yes, I do.
Well, and Mike Lane, one of our police sergeants, called over that morning and said, "Hey, the processions will be coming right down I-35, in an hour. What should we do? I've never really set up for one of these before." And I said, "Well, this is what we do." I said, "But tell you what, this is Louisville. We kind of go above and beyond when it comes to things. Why don't you come on over?" And we planned something out, and Damion was part of it. I said, "I've got to get Damion Roberts, our pipe major, here real quick." And Damion, ran, got his stuff, and we ended up shutting down one of the overpasses over I-35 and put our tower ladder with the bucket up over the middle with the flag hanging from the two other aerials on each side crossed, some engines, ambulances, then patrol cars, the police car all the way down both sides. And then we had our police officers stand up in front, and then we flanked them because we were there to honor them while they honored one of their fallen. And then we had Damion, single piper, on top of the cab of one of the rigs, playing as the procession went by. And to read Damion, I mean, how about the comments? And we didn't do it for that. We did it to honor our police department while they honor one of their own that was killed in the line of duty. But the response to that, I know it was like, well, we're going to go do something. We're going to do what's right here and show our appreciation and love for a fallen brother in law enforcement. But the response to it was incredible.
Oh, it was unbelievable. It was, phone call after phone call and email after email after email, and all of them said the same thing. Just all the emotion that they had whenever they passed under the overpass, and they could see us lined up, and they could see me standing on top of one of the quints playing the bagpipes. I mean, it was just, from family members to other officers that were in the processional to, other firefighters that, there were a few fire engines and some ambulances in the processional also, and it was just one after another, and it's just, you could tell by all the emails just the sense of pride that they had and how good it made them feel that, another city that wasn't even tied to Plano went out of their way to, pay honor to, a fallen brother.
And how hard was it?
Oh, it was very simple, very simple. I mean, and stuff like that really doesn't take much of an effort. It just takes a commitment from the guys, and once everybody gets their mind set to it to do it, then that's and like you said a while ago, we didn't do it because we didn't do it, but for the
attention.
Yeah, for the attention. We did it because it was the right thing to do, And
Damion, like I said, buddy, it doesn't take that much. When people ask about this kind of stuff, I mean, it doesn't take that much to show up. One of our past mayors, Mayor Wayne Ferguson, did some wonderful things for this community and a pillar in the community, truly, to the word. To have our police and fire honor guard stand post at his wake, at his service. And then, to do this and have you up there playing, and again, if you're interested, if you want to watch this and not, try not to cry, it's on YouTube, the whole thing, and Adam Campetti, our video guy from the city, one of them, him and Tim Phillips, do a great job, and he edited it. They actually added some more of the music from another venue behind Damion from his band, but it's an incredible thing to watch, and it was the right thing to do, like Damion said, the right thing to do for a fallen police officer, and it took all of 5 minutes to go, how about we do this, and we get along so well with our cops, it's scary. We get along so well with our police department. We got great people over there. But Damion, I had to mention that because that was pretty, again, go watch it and give us your thoughts, because the family, just the fact that the family, the limo driver turned around and said, you have to see this and slow down. That's what it was, that, it was for him, but it was for his family and for their sacrifice, and it was the right thing to do. Now, speaking of the right thing to do, Damion, you mentioned who your drummers are. Real quick, who else do you have in the band now before we move on?
Well, we've actually added some new guys to the band. Right now, currently, we have 11 members. We have added a couple of new drummers. We've added 2 new tenor drummers, 2 firefighters, Mark Murphy and Jeremy Jones. And then we have also added a new bass drummer, which is Dustin Bortsfield. And the reason we added a new bass drummer is because Turtle Martinez has been taking pipe lessons for the last several months, and he's actually going to be a new piper.
I love. Hey, I'm sorry, but I didn't interrupt you. But I love when Turtle starts. What is it called? Flourishing, right?
He's probably one of the few bass drummers in the country, if the only bass drummer in the country that actually flourishes, which is usually done by tenor drummers. And flourishing, for you guys that don't know, that's where you take the sticks and twirl them. You have a little tassel on the end of it, and you kind of twirl them. Well, he's kind of taken it upon himself to do that with a bass drum, and it just adds an extra element, especially for parades and events.
When he throws it over the top, and then when he did it over the top, and that's the other thing from the Pipes and Drums and Honor Guard Symposium that's all over YouTube. When you see him go over the top, then go underneath, it's just too cool. But let's get back to it's the right thing to do, and I've mentioned this before. If there's a way to pull it off, just like with your Honor Guard, if you're a fire chief, man, if you could pull this off, even if you get just one piper, and I want to get to Damion here and talking about what he's done right here in Texas to stoke some of this. There's some great pipers and drummers in Texas, and before we even get to our band a little bit, Damion, what it took to get them going, let's talk real quick. Jimmy mentioned the Honor Guard side of the symposium. In May, we held, like I said, the inaugural Pipes, Drums, and Honor Guard Symposium. I'm going to ask you, I'll put you in a spot. Tell me how that idea come up. What all happened there?
Well, the idea actually came up. I was lucky enough to be able to go to FDIC a couple of years ago. I believe it was 2006. And I was still pretty new on the pipes, so I thought, well, I'll just go ahead and take my pipes anyway. And I don't know if the chief remembers this or not, but I actually got hold of the pipe major for Indianapolis, and I took all my stuff with me, and I found out when they were going to meet for the opening ceremony so I could play in the opening ceremony, and I was going to surprise Chief. Well, lo and behold, when the opening ceremonies came up for that morning, he looks up, and there I am standing up with the guys for the opening ceremony, which was huge for me, because I'm going to talk just a little bit about the brotherhood with pipers and drummers. The firefighters are really tight. We're a real tight-knit group of guys and girls, but the pipes and drums is even more so. I show up to FDIC. I'm a brand new piper. I don't know any of these guys from Adam, and I show up in the room to warm up for the opening ceremonies, and these guys are treating me like they've known me for years, and it was really kind of overwhelming, because I was playing in a room in front of 5,000 people, but at the same time I walked in and I was treated just like I was a 15-year piper, and that experience in itself was amazing, and that's just something else that just gives you a little bit of sense of pride, and and just the whole tradition of the pipes and drums in the fire service. But
and I told you when you were starting the whole band, I said, and I told when we met with you and then all your guys that you that stepped up, I said that the pipers and drummers I met, it's like again, you're like the Freemasons with secret handshakes and all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's like a cult. It's unbelievable. A good one, a good cult. I mean, once you're part of that group, it's like, oh, not only are you a firefighter, which is our fire service family, and they welcome you everywhere in the country. When they find out you're a piper and a drummer, and if they're one, look out. It's like like you just said, it's open arms, and here you come on board.
That's exactly the way it is. Well, after coming back from FDIC, I was, kind of thinking about, how we can get this whole pipe and drum thing going across the state, because at the time that we got this band started, there were very, very few fire department pipe bands in the state of Texas. So we really didn't have that. Other than Houston and maybe, a few small groups here and there, we really didn't have anybody else to look to. So I got on the phone and I started calling around trying to find all the departments, and sending out emails. And I mean, that took me the better part of a month just to get any kind of information that I could. Well, every year in July, we have a Texas Firefighter Olympics.
It's a huge event.
Yeah, huge event. That's a week-long event, and it's hosted in different cities. And it's almost like the regular Olympic process. Each city department has to put in a bid each year to have it hosted in their city. Well, that year it just happened to be in Austin, which is our state capital. And so I called around, and I was able to find pipes and drummers, some of the guys from Houston, Austin, and ourselves. And we just thought, well, they have a Fool's Night every Tuesday night, kind of like they do at FDIC on their Wednesday night party. So I thought, well, that would be kind of cool to get some of these guys together for the Fool's Party and play, and kind of do like we did at FDIC. So we got together. It was just kind of an impromptu, mass band. We just played a few songs, did a few sets. Well, after it was over with, we thought, well, this was pretty neat. Why don't we, look at maybe getting together and practicing every quarter, at least once every other quarter, twice a year. And we'll try to see if we can get some more bands together. And, next thing I know, I'm talking to the pipe major from Austin, Coit Kessler, which he's done a lot of footwork and really helped me.
He's a good guy. Is he passionate or what?
Oh, yes, he is. He's very passionate.
Passion.
He and I we talk at least once a week about different things, and he's been great as far as really kind of instigating and getting a lot of this stuff going. So,
and he needs some support down there, doesn't he?
Yes, he does
need some support, not from the pipes and drummers, but from the city administration.
Yeah, city administration and the Austin Fire Department itself. But that's a whole other issue.
Hey, you know what? I'll say it here. Hey, step up and help them. Okay, there. Enough said. But anyway, go on, buddy.
So
I can get away with that, Damion.
Yeah. So I'll let you. You've got the white shirt. You got all the brass. So, but so after that,
anymore.
Yeah. So after that, we started, working on getting some more cities together, and next thing we know, between Coit and myself and a few other guys, we're emailing, looking around, and we're finding out more and more cities that actually have pipe bands. But there's, a lot of them are still kind of in the infancy stage, kind of like we were at the time, and actually we still are. So, all in all, we ended up finding about 12 different departments that had either a single piper or a pipe and drum unit. And since then, there's been about 8 or 9 new departments just in the North Texas area that's kind of getting pipe and drum bands going.
Well, and some, I know Corpus Christi, they had a band, didn't they? And,
yeah. The Corpus, well, I'll mention some of them. Denton had a couple, Grapevine, McKinney, they've got a pretty good contingent. Houston had a huge band at the time. Corpus, Austin, Dallas has got something going. Georgetown, which is just north of Austin, down in that area.
There.
Yeah, and, we've got Bryan College Station. We've got a few guys in Fort Worth. And then it went from just thinking, well, we'll just get together and have a little practice here and there. Well, I thought, for the first one, let's just do it in Louisville. Why not? We do everything else in Louisville. So,
it's centrally located.
Yeah, it is. And which is good for us, And so I thought, well, I'll put together a couple days worth of practice, and so I sent out the emails and I sent out the idea to everybody in the state band, and got a pretty good reception from everybody, so we decided to have it up here in Louisville. Well, I just happened to mention it to Chief Lasky that, we were getting everything together, and he was like, okay, anything you need, let's do this, let's do that, and he's running through the whole logistics of it. And so we kind of planned it out. Well, it turns out we had a meeting with our assistant city manager over some budget.
Well, and let's back up for a second, too. And the assistant city manager he's going to talk about is Donna Barron, who's another incredible supporter of the fire service, and we love her. She's been unbelievable for us. But she's the one, Damion, when you guys, before we even get to the symposium, when you brought the group up here just to jam, because I think you were going to the symposium next, right, about planning it? Was that what
yes.
We're going to talk? Okay, and I told her I was going. She goes, well, do we want to feed them? How about we cater lunch for the guys that are coming up here? Because you just set it up to play in the amphitheater for 2 days just to get together and jam. And she said, let's set it up and let's cater lunch for them, which, I mean, that's Donna. That's the way she is, man. She's incredible. But go ahead, buddy. I'm sorry.
Oh, and so, before that actual practice, we had gone to have a meeting with Donna Barron about our budget and some other things. And I'm sitting in there with Chief Lasky and one of our assistant chiefs, Chief Brown, and we're talking about our pipe and drum budget and some other things. And I just happened to mention our practice that we were going to have here for a couple of days. And she looked at Chief Lasky and said, well, how come I didn't know anything about this? And I just told her it was just kind of an impromptu thing. We were just getting together. And that's when she brought up, well, let's be sure and do this. Let's be sure we get lunch for these guys. And she's running through this whole list of stuff that she wants to do for all these guys coming up, and I just look at Chief Lasky with this with this blank, look of awe on my face, and he's just looking at me going, yeah, I told you, so, and
I told you, anytime, that's the magic of Donna Barron, right? I looked at him, I go, you've never been around this. When we come back from a budget meeting or from a meeting, we go, she did it again for us, her, and our boss, Claude King, are making it happen again. So go ahead, buddy. I'm sorry.
And so before that 2-day, small practice that we had, we were already planning the symposium for next year. We already started talking about, she was just going through this whole list of things she wanted to try to see and, that we could do, make it an annual event. We'll, invite everybody from around the state, and we'll do this and we'll do that. And, next thing I know, this whole symposium was born, and it just kind of took on a life of its own.
Well, and that was, when we sat there and then we started talking about it, she goes, well, for next year, we had went to Donna and said, we'd like to do a 2-day thing, this and that, so on and so forth. She goes, well, why don't we do this? Why don't we get, one of the vendors to step up, and we'll do a beer garden, and we'll get them down here Thursday night for a mass band and some honor guard competitions. And next thing you know, we're 255 people, and maxed out because we had to turn away about 400, and 120, 130 were pipers and drummers, and the rest were honor guard, and the honor guard people did great. And then, Damion, the venue, because Jimmy, like I said, Jimmy Byers talked about the honor guard side of things last show. When we set this up, and again, we went right to Don Shannon, and Don's history with us is, I know you went to him originally to be our instructor. Give us a little background on Don Shannon before we go further.
Well, Don Shannon is a piper he's native Ireland. I think he moved over here probably 10 years ago or so, but he's been piping for close to 40 years now. Started in the Irish Army and just progressed from there, and has been in more pipe bands than I can even begin to count. But he is the pipe major now for the North Texas Caledonian Pipes and Drums. And he and his band, before we got our pipe band going, used to do a lot of stuff as far as pipe bands for the city of Louisville, parades and some events and stuff. They would always hire out the Caledonians. Well, once we got our pipe band going, then that was the plan, was to use us for those different events. So I just thought it, since Don has all this experience, that I would contact him, and we contacted him, started using him as an instructor, and he has just been a wealth of information as far as pipes and drums. I mean, he's got more knowledge than I can.
He's incredible as a piper.
Yeah,
he is. Group. Oh my God, what a nice man, what a gentleman.
Yes.
I mean, and back to, we got to tell Donna Barron's story. I went to Donna and said, we've been hiring the Caledonians. They're great folks. What about starting our own band here? And she says, I said, sure, we got plenty of guys that'll step up. And she said, we'll put the budget together. And I know we sat down, we came up and went back and said, well, it'll be $56,000 to get it started. And she said, okay. And I went, oh, holy, you know what? I got to hurry up and ask people, because we weren't even sure if we had everybody willing to do it. And again, your guys stepped up. They did this. And we're going to talk a little bit here about, how Damion got things going and where the funding came from. But that's another success story with another, person from our city management who stepped up to help us get something going. But Don has been incredible. I mean, he's been, you need to listen to him to know what I'm talking about. The guy's incredible.
Yeah, he is. He's a phenomenal piper and a great guy. We've actually got to be really good friends with him, and quite a few of us go play golf with him, on occasion. And the funny thing is that when we first started taking lessons from him, like I said, he's, native Ireland.
Pipe lessons or golf lessons?
Well, I could actually take both from him. He's actually a pretty good golfer for no longer than he's been playing. But the first couple of lessons, all of us, Todd and myself and Gary, every time he would say something, we'd all just look at each other and go, what did he just say? Because he has got an extremely thick Irish accent. And it took a while to figure out some of the things that he was saying, but I can understand it pretty well now.
Oh, and he stepped up, and I know he was, and he's so patient, he's so good. When you talk about a teacher, a mentor,
yes.
He's been great to you and the guys, but we got Don involved to come in with some of his assistants and teach to the pipers. And you had a beginners class, intermediate, and then advanced, right? 3 different. Was that how you had it set up for the pipers?
Yeah, we originally thought, well, we'll bring in Don. He'll be the instructor for this symposium. Well, it kept growing, it kept getting bigger, and we kept having more pipers sign up for this thing. And then I thought, there's no way we can have just one instructor. So we ended up a couple of the guys out of Don's band, his pipe sergeant, for which everybody calls Seamus, which is Robert Robert McCallion, there we go. And then another guy that is a grade 1 piper that actually flew in from Florida that used to be in his band, Greg McWilliam. And those were our 3 instructors. And we did have it separated into a beginner, intermediate, and an advanced pipe group, which actually seemed to work out pretty well.
Oh, and I know a lot of guys were nervous, and I know a lot of new pipers, bowed out of coming just because they said, well, I don't want to go there and embarrass myself, when actually this was perfect because you had it set up where a brand new, just bring your chanter and get ready, because you had it set up where someone brand new, starting out can come and really get something out of the symposium.
Yeah, and I actually had several guys walk up to me afterwards, and even during the symposium and say the same thing. They said, we weren't sure if we were needed to come or not because we've only been on the channels for a couple of months, but this is perfect, and I had more and more people come up and tell me how much they learned and how much they got out of it, just because all 3 of these guys as instructors are very good instructors, are very patient, but just the knowledge that these guys had. And some of these guys, they're not as lucky as we are with our band, where we have been supported and funded by, our city administration, and our city leaders. A lot of these guys, as far as fire department bands go, they do everything out of their own pocket. And so they may not have the money to hire instructors and to do things like, it needs to be done. So they, haven't had anybody to teach them just the basic maintenance of chanters and bagpipes and
don't a lot of pipers? I mean, like you said, a lot of these guys do it on their own, don't they?
Damion? Yeah. A lot of them do it out of their own pocket, and they may have bought a book and kind of taught themselves how to do it, and there's just so many things that go into playing and maintaining a set of bagpipes. Like I said, there's just a lot of subtleties here and there as far as there's several different ways or several things to do to maintain them, to make sure they're still up to speed, make sure they still have the same tone when they're playing, to make sure that they're kept upright. And
Damion, I've told people it's the ice hockey of the fire service. If you have a kid that plays hockey, or if you play yourself, it's probably one of the most expensive sports with the equipment and the time and the instruction. That's the tough part about this is the pipes and drums, man. There's a lot of money you have to invest with the kilt and everything else associated with it, and the instruments and the lessons. It does take something. But so many guys, they do it on their own. But Damion, what I don't get, is if you have the means. And here, now I want to make this perfectly clear. For the listeners out there, we have not used one penny from the general fund to fund our pipe and drum unit. We have not used one penny. Miss Barron, Donna, and my boss Claude King were able to use what they have here as a donation account when there's certain funds that can't go to the general fund, can't go when something happens, and I won't get into different details because there's so many different variations, but money that ends up in that account can be used for historical restoration, preservation, or the arts. Well, this falls into that with the arts, and they were able to use some funding originally from that, not from Hotel Motel, but from all along, that's been there. And there's ways to make it happen. We've got a donation policy. If you want a copy of it, email me. If you want a copy of the donation form, the conflict of interest form, all that, they've got a pretty good system set up here. So not one penny has come out of the general budget for Damion and his guys. This has all been from the donation account. But man, Chief, if you're out there, if you can pull this off, just like we said with the Honor Guards, if you've got a guy or a gal that says, let me just start, because if one person starts it, Damion, isn't it true? It kind of swells after that. If you get one person going, sooner or later other people go, well, I want to do that too, don't they?
Yeah, and it happens with every department that is in our state band, and everybody I've talked to, especially with the popularity that is growing now, and just in the state of Texas with fire department pipe bands. You get one or two guys in a department that are taking lessons, or they start playing the pipes, and And back to what you had said earlier, sadly enough, the bagpipes have always been associated with more of a mournful setting and funerals and it's so much more than that. It can be used for so many other things, for different events and uplifting things, parades and.
Well, what do you do? What are some of the events you've done here, buddy?
Well, every year we have a couple parades here in Louisville. We have the Western Days Parade, which is always held on Labor Day weekend. We always march in that parade. We have marched in the Lake Cities Parade for their Fat Tuesday Parade, which is a smaller city just north of Louisville on Lake Louisville. We march in the Holiday at the Hall Parade every year, which is a parade the first weekend of December for right around Christmas time.
In Louisville.
We have a big open house every year where the citizens of Louisville and other surrounding cities can come and just kind of tour our fire station, see all of our apparatus, all of our equipment, and we play several sets throughout the day for that. We play at any fire department retirements, any banquets, and it's.
Oh, you've piped in the mayors.
Yeah, we piped in the mayors.
Yeah, for the State of the City address they do. You pipe them in. You did a road opening. One of the county roads here, FM 3040. You guys, the grand opening for that.
Yeah. We've played Christmas parades for other cities. Flower Mound, which is a neighboring city. We actually did. Our state band played the Cotton Bowl New Year's Eve parade this last year in downtown Dallas, the day before the Cotton Bowl, and we've already been invited back to play it again this year, and that's a huge televised parade. We've done the St. Patrick's Day parade on Greenville Avenue. A few of us have traveled up to Chicago to do the Southside Irish Parade, which is a huge parade that always happens on the weekend before St. Patrick's Day up in the Chicago area. So,
well, and Damion, you mentioned, the funerals. There's nothing. A good honor guard and a piper or pipes and drums at a funeral is appropriate. We handle and conduct the line of duty death funerals for around the area often, and And I know you guys have stepped up when we've had some very bad times here, and have done the appropriate and the right thing. And it is when you hear them at a funeral, it's a wonderful way to pay tribute to our fallen brother or sister, police or fire. It's just a wonderful, wonderful thing to do for their family and for them. But you're right, there's so many other uses out there that you just hit the tip of the iceberg, actually, with all the different things. And this is why, if you've got someone, guys, that is willing to step up and do this, man, even if you can help with their kilt, or help with the chanter, or help with the pipe, you don't have to spend thousands and thousands of dollars. If you could just help them a little bit, if you can just help them get the city time off to go play at some of these city events, before you know it, you get some of the city politicians and some of the people in the community going, wow, that is pretty incredible. How do I get them out here? Or what do I do here? And then, swing some support, from your city administration behind it. I think it's a small investment, Damion, when it comes. Let me ask you, investment-wise, what has that done? What have the pipes and drums done for our community, for our fire department?
Oh, just for the community, we've got so many citizens and even people from, workers from some of our other city departments that have come up to us either after a parade or, they just see us at practice and they drive by and they always come up and tell us, that just watching us play or listening to us play for a city event, whether it's a parade or whatever, just gives them a huge sense of pride. And they actually have a little bit of ownership because they feel like, we're their pipe band, we're there for the city of Louisville. And we really are. And it's just whenever they tell us this, and whenever people come up and thank us, and talk about how beautiful the music was and how much they appreciated it, they're very genuine. They're not just coming up and saying good job just because they think they should. You can just tell by looking in the eyes and by the just expressions on their faces that they're very, very genuine about what they are saying. And within the fire department, it's our guys just always walk up to us and they always go on and just about our accomplishments as a band and how proud they are of us, and that we've brought this tradition back to our fire department, which, like I said before, in the state of Texas, the pipe and drum bands, they haven't had a real big following, up until now, and now
they haven't had
really
the support.
Booming. No,
they haven't had the support, Damion, and that's I know I keep banging on that, brother, but and like I said earlier, I really don't care who I offend anymore. If I get a chief mad because I go off on chiefs that don't care about their guys or whatever, I know there's budgets. Hell, I work with a budget myself, but there's so many things. If you want to fix morale in your department, if you want to boost morale in your department, if you're the boss, do it. Work your magic. You can do it when it comes to a new car or computer. Go out and work your magic for these men and women and support them. I just don't get that. I've seen so many people, and I won't mention Cord again from Austin, the tough job he's got down there, and some other folks. But I just can't imagine why, if you can't pull it off. If you can't, I understand why you wouldn't do whatever you can to support them somehow. These are our Blue Angels, our honor guards and pipes and drummers. And oh man, this is just. And you're right, Damion. The guys feel a sense of pride. You're our Blue Angels. It's just, oh my goodness, how can you not support something like that? Now, hey, before we forget, we had some other instructors. I know you've got your drum sergeant Scott Thompson, one of our division chiefs, heading things up for you there, take care of business for you with the drummers. But symposium-wise, you had Don Shannon, his group for the pipers. Tell us about. We had three, actually a little bit more, but we had three absolutely incredible instructors for the drummers, and who were they?
Well, our lead drum instructor was Steve Cameron, and he is a native from Northern Ireland, and he actually lives in Georgetown, which I said before is a smaller town.
Texas.
Yeah, Georgetown, Texas, which is just north of Austin. And he has actually, for the last several years, been teaching smaller drum clinics at different fire departments around the state, and he's an excellent world-class drummer. Just phenomenal. You know what?
I know you've made Don Shannon. Don Shannon is our honorary pipe major for the Louisville Pipes and Drums, band.
Yes.
We need to think about making Steve honorary drum sergeant, because not only just what he's stepped up to help you with the symposium, but just to recognize his efforts, Damion, for what you and I and Scott need to get together to talk about this, because what he's done for the fire service, stepping up and helping, brothers and sisters that want to learn how to drum in a pipe and drum band has been incredible.
Yeah, and that's the thing with Steve is he works another job and he takes up his whole weekends doing all these different drum clinics around the state for fire departments. So I mean he's got a definite passion for drums and pipes and drums, and the more he does this, the more he's involved with the fire service, the more he sees how tight-knit of a group we are. I mean, I think he enjoys it more and more, and I mean, he's even become more dedicated to it, since he's gotten started.
And I love that guy. He came out with that big drum from the 1940s when he played with Don's group with the Caledonians. Again, YouTube it. YouTube the Keeping Tradition Alive Pipes and Drums and Honor Guard Symposium, and you're going to see about 50 different clips of different things going on, and you'll see him get up to it, that drum. I mean, first of all, the guy's like he should be in the WWF wrestling. He's just very muscular, big guy. That thing was huge.
It was huge, and the funny thing about that drum is there's only 3 or 4 like it in the world, and it just happens to be one that Don Shannon has that he owns and keeps at his house.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
So Don thought that would be interesting to bring that up and have Steve come in and play it at the end, and it's just. That just shows a little bit more of their Irish heritage and the beginnings of pipes and drums, and those are the drums that they used to use.
Well, and Don's played for the Queen. He's played for Tony Blair. He's played for President Bush. He's played many times leading off to Byron Nelson. And you got Steve Cameron, who's played for the Queen. And incredible! Again, we got to do something for that guy. He's awesome. And he had 2 other instructors. Who were they?
Well, we actually had two other guys show up, and if you're involved in the pipes and drums at all and know anything about drummers, you'll know these 2 guys. But Jim Kilpatrick and Tyler Fry, which Jim Kilpatrick is a world-class drummer, and he's probably one of the top pipe band drummers in the world, and he's won over 15 world championships. He's been drumming since the age of 12. And I think
he is the highest-rated snare drummer in the world.
Yeah, just a phenomenal guy and super nice guy to get to talk to. And then you've got Tyler Fry, who is a top-rated tenor drummer in the world. And they both showed up with Premier Percussion, which was one of our vendors, slash sponsors for the event. So
and they flew him all the way in. I mean, Tyler, first of all, this young man, which. God, I hate saying this. My 13-year-old daughter had a crush on him like you wouldn't believe. He is animated. He is fast. He can flourish. He does things, and he just, you need to put a fire helmet on him. He fit in with the troops like you wouldn't believe. He's incredible to watch. And then you have Jim Kilpatrick, which we mentioned before, once before. Jim Kilpatrick, if you look at his title, it has MBE after it, member of the British Empire. And this is the Queen's drummer. I mean, he's just that guy. And what was funny, Damion, was to have Steve Cameron tell me during the morning opening ceremonies to say he came out and he goes, "What that man can do with the drum isn't he's sick. That's a sickness. No human should be able to do with their hands what he could do with that drum." And if you look at some of the video clips, oh my God, it's between him and Tyler and Steve. I'm like, you're standing there. I kept standing up there, buddy. Watch out. I'm embarrassed. I was so proud when I saw. First of all, when Jimmy was taking care of the honor guard stuff, I was just beaming. When I saw you out there as the host pipe major in Colorado, but you giving the orders, doing things, and bringing everybody together, I was proud. Then I looked out there, Damion, and I saw here's Jim Kilpatrick and Tyler Fry stand next to each other when we're doing the mass band, and right next to them is Mark Murphy and Jeremy Jones, 2 of our guys. I'm going, this guy plays for the Queen, and he's standing with our guys. He's out there, and he's loving it. He's loving this whole fire service thing. Just incredible.
Yeah, it was. He went on and on. Jim Kilpatrick just went on and on and on about how impressed he was with the fire service and how tight our group was, and just firefighters in general. And he couldn't say enough. And in fact, there's a couple of pictures where he's standing out in the middle. Him and Tyler are doing their drum bit, and he's got on a fire helmet, and he's grinning from ear to ear and just beaming. He's having the best time.
Well, and he said, Steve Cameron was just obvious. He's one of us. I'm not just going to say it. He's probably never fought a fire, but he's one of us, guys. Get ready for it because he's incredible. Jim Kill, from what I understand, the guy from Premier told you, Drum Sergeant, that the next day Jim Kilpatrick emailed or wrote a letter to the owner of the company of Premier and said, I don't care what I'm doing next year. I will be at this. He said, I used to think that, I think it was Kansas City or whatever, was one of the best events. He goes, this event is the best event I've ever been to in my life, and we're going to be there next year. And, I mean, just, having those guys, Damion, and being able to work and teach, and Steve with the guys, to see him walk out, and then to do the mass band thing you guys did on the front steps of City Hall. To see, I mean, I was absolutely outside my body. I was standing, I could look over and see myself. I told my wife and my daughter, I was beaming. I was just, this was one of the most incredible things I've ever seen.
Yeah, if you would have told me, when we got this whole band started, back in 2005, if you would have told me then that it would have developed into what it is now and it would be as popular as it was and that we were going to be playing a mass band on the front steps of City Hall with 80 pipers and 40 drummers, I'd have told you were out of your mind. But
well, and you have. I think you told me that the other day. You told me I'm out of my mind. I took it as a compliment. But seriously, to look out there, buddy, and see that, and to have the people from the community, you mentioned it before, to have residents that came out with their chairs and their blankets to listen. We had Alex Hernandez, the owner of Sugar Babies Barbecue, the official barbecue for the Dallas Cowboys. He stepped up and donated enough food for 255 plus the instructors, their meals, which was incredible. That man's incredible, what he does for the community, for all over, not just the Metroplex, Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, not just here, but he's incredible. To have Miller step up, we talk about different people that are out there doing things for the fire service, and Miller Beer stepped up and said, you know what, we want to take care of these firefighters. I mean, they stepped up in a big way. Miller was great. And then we had the Hilton step up and do their part. We had American La France. American La France, the vendor, they're alive and well here in Texas, brothers and sisters, and they stepped up. One of our distributors down here in Texas stepped up and big-time sponsor, and you said Premier, and then we had Elkhart and some other folks to make this all happen. I mean, your attendees, Damion, if they could get themselves here transportation-wise, we'd pick them up at the airport and drive them back, and if they could pay for their hotel at the Hilton, which we got a reduced room rate, we fed them, we took care of them, there was no fees, anything, and really made this event very special.
Yeah, and on top of everything else, it was 2 full days of quality instruction from all of these, from Don Shannon and Steve Cameron. I mean, it was just the wealth of information these guys have, and what they actually took the time to teach everybody that showed up to this was phenomenal.
Oh, and what a huge event, successful event. Real quick, because we're getting close to running out of time here, as we always do. We get going on a roll here. It's awesome, buddy, and I appreciate it, Damion. Do you have the dates in front of you for next year's symposium?
Yes, the next year's symposium is going to be May 14th and 15th.
And that's a Thursday and Friday.
It's a Thursday and Friday, yes. It's going to be the same schedule that we had this year.
Now, I know Jimmy's group, the Honor Guard guys, are going to come in, the National Honor Academy out of Florida, with the fanatical, just unbelievable, great Honor Guard guys are going to come in and conduct an Honor Guard Academy the week of, leading up to that. And then we've got your 2 days, and then we have a Saturday morning a muster we're going to do with some competitions and some other things. But same Thursday, Friday setup, right, with the general session, then all the breakout sessions, then the dinner and the mass band playing and the beer and the food and everything else for the City Hall, and then come back Friday. Same setup, right?
Yes, same setup and same instructors, actually. We've already got confirmation from Don and Steve both that they will be back next year to be the lead instructors.
Outstanding for those guys. And I know Jim Kilpatrick and Tyler said they're coming back no matter what.
Yes.
But before, you know what, we talked about how we got things going here briefly with Donna Barron and Claude King, our city managers, and Steve Backus, our other assistant city manager, has been a great supporter. This whole symposium, Keeping Tradition Alive, there's plenty of information on it. Damion, real quick here, if someone wanted to get a hold of you and say, all right, Damion, I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to get my chief's support or the mayor's support, or I'm trying to do this on my own, or, the guys want to do this, I have no idea which direction to turn in, because we were there once. We were there just a few years ago. Yeah. How could they get a hold of you? You have an email. I know you have 2 email addresses. You have the one at work and you have another one, right?
Yes.
Could you go ahead and give the folks both email addresses, if you don't mind?
Okay, my city email address is droberts, Roberts, at cityoflouisville.com. And that is Louisville, Lewisville. Louis, not Louis.
I know a lot of folks do that. So
yeah.
D. Roberts at cityoflouisville.com. And then what's your other one, buddy?
Yeah, my personal email address is Damion, Damion, at LoneStarPiper.com.
Okay, so Damion at LoneStarPiper.com. And then Don Shannon's got it. Let's do this for Don. Don Shannon's, ScottishPiper.com?
He is with Piper Inc. at Flashnet .net, which is PIPERINC.
And he has his website though is scottishpiper.com, right?
It's actually changed now. His website with the North Texas Caledonians is www.ntcpd.com.
Okay.
And that will actually, if you go to that, he's got several links, and it'll link you to his personal website also and all his contact information if you want to contact Don about anything.
Okay, so we've got him. I think Jim Kilpatrick had jimkilpatrick.com. There's so many, but I want to mention Jim Kilpatrick's website, jimkilpatrick.com. You've got Don Shannon's, you got Damion's. Seriously, folks, if you're looking for any information, give Damion a shout. He'll help you. He'll send you our policies. He'll send you his budget. He'll talk to you about what it took to get things going and what was realistic in the way of expectations, right, buddy? That when people say, well, how long? That's probably the biggest question: is how long does it take to get things going? And it took a while. It took a lot of work.
Yeah, it did take a while. You know, from the time you start on the practice chanter until you're proficient enough to play, you know, a decent song on a set of pipes, to be good at it, you're probably looking at the better part of a year. You know, for the average person. So obviously, some people will pick it up faster than others, but you know, on the average, about a year at least, as far as time.
Well, and Don asked that. He had asked originally. He says, "How soon are you looking, Chief?" And I said, "You know, whenever. I know it's going to take a while." He says, "Good, because it's going to take some." Now, one of the comments he did make during the symposium, actually during Thursday night during the mass band, he walked up and he said, "Chief, you've created a monster here." And he's right, because next year we're going to open it up from probably 250 participants to 500 because we felt bad turning away 400. We may have to charge a small fee, $50 or $100, just because we want to help cover the extra food, because we spent about $30,000 in sponsorship money on food. And we want to get you here. We want to keep it as cheap as possible because, like Damion said, a lot of you are paying for this out of your pocket, and we want to make sure we take care of that stuff. So we've mentioned the websites. We've mentioned the emails. Damion, how you got the band started, the symposium. You know, you talked about the patience that's needed to make this happen. You know, it takes good support, buddy. You've mentioned that several times from you know, not just from, you know, and I appreciate all the nice things you say about our fire administration, but it's easy. When I've got people like you and Jim Byers from making things happen and the staff I have, I just sit back here and spin around my chair. And as Tom Freeman would say, spin around my chair and watch in circles and watch the fan blades go around. I get to sit there and get all the pats in the back about what a great job you guys are doing, and it has to go towards you guys. You guys are incredible. I have never been so proud of I mean, like I said, that first time you guys played, the first time Jimmy's group did a presentation of the colors without one order, I'm telling you, those have got to be probably some of the most incredible moments in my fire service career. 28 years was watching you guys play for the first time, and now watching you. I'm telling you, buddy, I'm just so proud of you guys. You've done a great job, pal.
Oh, thanks, Chief. I appreciate it. And not all the other guys do, too.
Well, I know. And you've got some hard-working guys for you. Again, and real quick before we close out, your kilt, I know we did some history, and I think, is it Ireland? It's named after the county, and Scotland after the family. Is that how it works?
Normally, the Irish tartans are named after the county that your family is from, and we had a captain about the time that we were getting ready to start this band. We had a captain, which was James Butch Flanagan, that we wanted to name our tartan after, our model, our tartan after his family name. So we did some research and found out that his family, the O'Flanagans, primarily came from the county of Offaly, which is part of Northern Ireland, which was originally named Kings County in Leinster, Ireland. And so we adopted that tartan as our band tartan.
And that was too cool. What a great way to pay tribute to a great man, a great leader. And I know he was knocked over by it, but the guys were all like that. It was awesome. We've been visiting with Damion Roberts, driver engineer for the Louisville Fire Department, and our pipe major. Damien's done some incredible things. Like I said, please, if you're looking for any information whatsoever on getting your pipe and drum band going, if you're looking for any information regarding, some of the labor things, some of the ins and outs citywide, human resources-wise, if you give me a shout, a shout on the phone or an email, and obviously you can get a hold of me at rlasky, Lasky, at cityoflouisville.com, just like Damion, rlasky at cityoflouisville.com, or at at Pride and Ownership, A-N-D, prideandownership.com. I'll hook you up with Miss Donna Barron, our Assistant City Manager, or our Human Resources Director, Melinda Galler, who's our Dream Human Resources Director, and they'll be happy to explain how they made things happen on that end. If you're looking for our donation policy, our conflict of interest policy, some of those things that to make things happen there, so you can go out and seek some donations, give me a call. Or Damion, if you're looking for policies, any information from Damion Roberts, please. I mean, I know he'd be more than willing to share that information with you. We've got all this stuff to give you. If you're a chief and you want to talk about how to pull this off, give me a call, and I'll do what I can to tell you how we made things happen here. Again, Damion Roberts, pipe major with the Louisville Pipes and Drums. Damion, thanks so much, brother. I can't thank you enough for everything you've done, pal. You do us proud, and I know you've got you're out there now in that pipe and drum community and that family, and great things are happening. I'm just excited to see where you're going to take our band, pal.
Well, thanks for having me, Chief.
We appreciate you having you. We've just tried to give you folks an insight from Jimmy Byers on honor guards and why we need them, and this is the same thing. Why we did kind of a talk. Bobby Halton, the editor-in-chief of Fire Engineering, did our keynote for us at the symposium, and that's on YouTube as well if you want to watch that. And Bobby was able to explain how he was up there quoting Shakespeare when he talks about what pipes and drums and pipers have done when in the military, and he goes way back. And if you're looking for the information, it's out there. The support is out there. Please give us a call. But we want to give you some insight between honor guards and pipes and drums, and truly, why do we need them? They're not just for funerals, as important as those are. They're the morale boosters. They're the things to get your department going. They truly, truly are our Blue Angels. And everybody's got that shining light. Everybody's got that thing they're proud of. That one thing that you turn to no matter what, no matter how bad things are going. You can turn to that light, if you will. That proud group of people, and feel good no matter how you're feeling about life at the time, or your department, or your morale, whatever. And that's definitely our pipers and our drummers, man. They are definitely those people that are there that when I'm having a bad day, all I got to do is throw a CD in my radio or go listen to them, and it makes my day a lot better. So appreciate your time. As always, if you're looking for any information on any of these shows, if downloading information, please get a hold of Peter P. Peter P as in Paul at Penwell.com, and Peter will be happy to explain how to get this all downloaded and what you need to do to make that all happen. We've got some great things going on, and until we get together next time, as we always end it, please, please, please always be safe.